Welcome to Chump or Champ. I'm Mattson, 58th President of the United States.
And I'm JB, head of the idiots. And this is...
Today we'll be reviewing Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. In Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, it documents Abraham Lincoln's young life with historical facts combined with the vampire illusion of today. Well, the story of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter really intrigued me. I know most people seen the previews. When I first saw the preview for it, you think it's a comedy, you think it's a joke, because you can't take something as serious as Abraham Lincoln and combine it with being a vampire hunter, but that's not what it is, not at all. Out of all the movies we review, this is one that I've actually read the story beforehand, and I kind of think that is going to affect my judgment of the movie a lot, because I love the book. The book tried to follow very historically accurately Abraham Lincoln's young childhood all the way up to his death, and this doesn't do that. It's basically your typical Hollywood action movie. Story-wise itself, it's your typical vampires. They have superhuman strength, and they basically destroy Abraham Lincoln's life from an early age.
I found Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter to be the Bull Durham of this movie season, which doesn't help it. For those who don't know what Bull Durham is a movie about, which boxer was it? Anyways, it doesn't matter. The story is like...
Bull Durham is a baseball movie.
Bull Durham?
Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. Whatever.
Same
Bull
movie.
Durham. Yeah, it's got a bull in it. It's got some people. Raging Bull is like a fragment of the boxer's life. And they don't work together as a single story, it's just fragments. And that's how I felt Abraham Lincoln Vampire was. It's fragments that the only reason you know it's tied together by a movie is because you have Abraham Lincoln in every scene. Except for a couple where they're talking with the vampires. But other than that, and it doesn't work. I mean, going back to Raging Bull, the reason why that movie is made that way is because it's based off of the boxer's autobiography, and that's the way that autobiography is written. It's written like fragments of events in his life. And this one it's written by the same guy who wrote the book, and he butchered his own book. And I'm in the same boat you are, is that I think I'm relying too much on the book for what I wanted to see in a movie instead of what you got out of a movie. But this is like a week or two late now from when it came out, and the box office is really showing how crappy of a movie this is. It's either because people, like you said, are expecting a comedy and are not getting it, or it's just that bad. And I think it's just that bad. I think if they would have followed the book and made it more true to an autobiography and sprinkled in the vampires like they did with the book, I think it would have shocked people in how good of a story it really is. Again, it's bad. We're comparing apples and oranges when you do the book and when you do this movie. But in the book, you felt compassion for Abraham Lincoln. All the crap that happened to him that was tied because of the vampires. He has one incident in his life that, in the movie, that turns him into a vampire. And he really felt weak on his execution of him becoming that vampire hunter. Henry,
there is darkness
I liked Henry.
everywhere, Mr. Lincoln.
I
can teach you.
The
how
only
to
problem
see
with
them,
Henry is he felt like a
how to
sleaze.
destroy them.
He didn't feel. Henry. Do I have to say it? I mean, is it a big deal? Should I give it away?
Oh, I don't think you're giving it away anymore.
Yeah, because 4 people have seen it. I don't think it's going to matter. Henry's a vampire who hates vampires, and he enlists Abraham Lincoln to do his dirty work because vampires cannot kill other vampires.
In the movie.
In this movie. And so he sends Lincoln out to do these things, but he just seems kind of weaselly in the movie, where in the book, he was... In the book, he was a little bit more straight arrow, always honest, or as honest as he could be until he needed to be.
Here's the thing, the book compared to the movie, story-wise, in a nutshell, is Abraham Lincoln himself. In the book, you get the feeling like they kind of pulled it off in the movie, but they never explained why he's this way. Abraham Lincoln is a very tragic character because, all the vampires basically take everything that's important to him throughout his whole life.
Yeah, but in the movie, they only do it once to him.
Right.
Or twice.
Right, but they make Abraham Lincoln a very distant character, and because he has the weight of the world on him, he's lost all this from childhood up to the Civil War, where he feels like he has to win this war, to abolish slavery, and basically, he wants to abolish slavery because slaves are just food for vampires. And I thought the book, realistically, if you read historically, that's how Abraham Lincoln was. He was kind of a distant character. He didn't open up to people. He was kind of a quiet, and he was a great public speaker, very passionate, but when people who knew him said he was very quiet and stuff, and that's where I thought they carried that out. The character of Henry in the book, Henry's a very well-educated, I love the character of Henry in the book. In the movie, he does. He has this well, I'm Weasley, gonna get people to do what I want them to do by lying to them. I didn't like that. I didn't like a lot of the other characters that they added that had bit parts from the book. My main issue with all the characters is the vampires. The thing with the book is they make vampires, but they make them very different vampires than your typical movie vampires. They don't turn invisible. They can die from regular things. It just takes more damage to kill them. They have the super strength. They have, but they don't have the silver invulnerability. That silver has to hurt them. I mean, basically, in the book, there's vampires mixed in, and you wouldn't know that they're vampires. They might wear sunglasses. That's how you can tell. But there's soldiers in the Union, and the other one is the fact that not all vampires are bad. In this movie, Henry's the only good vampire. Basically, character-wise, obviously Abe is the main character.
Right.
I liked aspects of what they did with him in the movie, making him kind of quiet and stuff, but my biggest flaw with the whole movie is he's not a superhero.
It failed on taking a good book, and it's a good book. I don't know if people want to consider it great, but it's a good book, and they fumbled it completely, translating this thing into a movie.
I totally agree, and I'm not as hard on the movie, I think, as you are, but as far as just the story aspect, I was totally unbelievably disappointed in the story.
Final critique of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, I give it a chump.
I too give it a chump. Dude, very good book. Movie just feels like an action flick starring Abraham Lincoln, but luckily not the one from Bill and Ted. Chump. Our Netflix pick of the week is Red State. It's a Kevin Smith movie. It's his first movie that is considered a horror film. I personally liked it because I actually thought it was one of the more realistic horror films, if you call it a horror film. It's about a religious group that goes fanatic and how the government would handle it. Check it out.
My Savior makes me whole again. In his shining eyes. In his shining eyes, I see the promise.
Next time on Chump or Champ will be our review of The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
You are as precious to me as you were to your own mother and father. I swore to them that I would protect you, and I haven't.
The twilight's last gleam.
The mayor's gonna dump him in the spring. Really? Mm-hmm. But he's a hero, a war hero. This is peacetime.
You think this can last? There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne.
Is it recording? Is there a... Okay, Michael, you say Abraham Lincoln. No. We're gonna, Chump or Champ, 3 intro, take 1.
Okay. Chump or Champ, 3 intro, take 1.
And you gotta sit there a little bit longer than just that, but that's fine. All right, ready?
Okay. Welcome to Chump or Champ. I'm Mattson, the 58th President of the United States.
And I'm JB, father of idiots.